Carolina basketball season is officially over. One of the leaders of Carolina women's basketball takes us through her career, and spring sports are in full swing. Live from the Curtis Media Center.
From the Hussman School of Journalism and Media at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, covering the full range of Tar Heel athletics. This is Sports Extra.
Good morning and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm Ashley Humphrey.
And I'm Caroline Routh. Thanks for joining us.
Well, Caroline, spring sports are about to take center stage as winter sports finish out their seasons.
That's all right. That's right. It's all eyes on our spring sports with UNC women's basketball team tapping out of the NCAA tournament this weekend.
Yeah, let's talk about that game. It was a story we've seen before.
I know, another loss to Duke, but I would say the Heels started out strong. I mean, they had an 11-0 run to start off the game. Maria Gakdeng did have an injury early, and we just couldn't make shots at the end.
Yeah, and it was the lowest scoring Sweet 16 game in women's March Madness history. But look, losing to Duke isn't something to hang our heads about. They gave South Carolina a run for their money in the Elite Eight.
That's very true. And you know what? Coach Courtney Banghart said that we are now setting a standard. Now, this is our second Sweet 16 in 4 years. I mean, you can't make it to the Final Four, you can't make it to the Elite Eight without making it to the Sweet 16 first.
I completely agree. To hear more about the loss to Duke, let's hear from our women's basketball analyst, Molly Malik, for Matchups with Malik. Molly.
Thanks, Ashley. The Tar Heels have been an exciting team to watch this season, and the powerhouse that they had been was only partially represented in Friday's game against Duke. Carolina's 11-0 run, 10 of which came from inside the paint, featured a strategic offensive first quarter attack. So let's take a look. Alyssa Usby's going to bring up the ball. Then she's going to pause over here to examine her options. She's got India Navarre out here, but she's been shooting 21.5% from the arc for the season. So instead, Usby's going to glide through the paint, and she's going to nail the layup. That was a great play from her, but after this, the offense deteriorated for the Tar Heels, and it would never be all that compelling for the Blue Devils either, with a low-scoring game of 47-38. And you know what I mean? As you can tell by the stats, shooting was never all that strong for either team in any of these three areas. But as Coach Banghart said, this is a game you would rewatch for its defense. I mean, the Tar Heels and Blue Devils represent some of the best defense in the country, but unfortunately, talented defense and 15 turnovers provided Duke 14 points off turnovers alone. So we can check that out again here. Sierra Toomey is going to lose the ball to Jaden Donovan and Regan Richardson, taking advantage of the situation. They surge down court and are going to grab the first Blue Devil lead of the game. This was the 111th face-off between these two teams, but their first ever in the NCAA championship. We see the Heels win in Carmichael in January, and then the Blue Devils take the dub in Cameron in February. So finally, come March, no one held home court advantage, which meant that even this impressive redemption play off a missed free throw, a saved rebound by Alyssa Usby, out to Lexi Donarski, over to Renaya Kelly for a nasty three, would not be enough for the Heels to clinch the win. But nonetheless, the Heels still barely maintain the lead in all-time matchup wins. And now that the season has ended, senior athletes are reflecting on their time here at Carolina, the wins, the losses, and the memories. Kyla McGee sat down with Lexi Donarski as she describes why she chose the Carolina Blue.
Grad student Lexi Donarski transferred from Iowa State after the 2022-2023 season.
Just being an athlete at Carolina is something that most people dream of, so I was really excited when Coach Banghart called me and gave me the opportunity.
During her visit, she knew Carolina was the place for her.
As soon as I came on my visit, I looked at my parents and I was like, yep, this is where I'm going to be. I don't even know if it was one specific thing. It was just a feeling that I got, and yeah, as soon as I visited, I knew.
Donarski is averaging about 10 points per game, shooting around 40% from the three this season. She credits her experience in the Big 12 for preparing her to compete in another tough conference, the ACC.
Conference-wise, they were both really talented, especially my freshman and sophomore year. The Big 12 was really, really good. So I feel like that did prepare me to play against the teams in the ACC that we play against now.
Despite her success with the team, Donarski says she had to adjust both on and off the court.
It also was hard, just adjusting to playing with all new people, a brand new team, getting my master's now instead of an undergrad, and just school being more challenging. So I think it was just an overall adjustment.
She hopes the season lasts well into the NCAA tournament. But there's one element to Carolina that she's going to miss when the ride does come to an end.
I would say my favorite part about Carolina is playing in a packed Carmichael Arena. The energy and the lights and just our awesome fans. It's a feeling that isn't like any other, and it's just a lot of fun.
I'm Kyla McGee reporting.
Donarski averaged 10.7 points per game, and she finished the season shooting 39.8% from the three-point line. Caroline, I am sad to see Carolina's basketball season come to an end. I was really hoping the Heels were going to make a little bit of a deeper tournament run.
I mean, me too, Ashley, but we got to move forward and look at the positives. The sun is shining, it's getting warm out, and that means it's officially baseball season. But we all know any weather condition can happen here in Chapel Hill, and the Hurricanes blew into town for a weekend series against the Diamond Heels. Graduate right-hander Jake Knapp made his first consecutive Friday night start and sixth appearance of the season. Knapp delivered an impressive performance, striking out a career-high 10 batters and improving to 4-0. In a fast-paced defensive battle, Knapp kept Miami scoreless. UNC broke the deadlock in the fifth inning with a single from Alex Madera and a sac fly by Jackson Vanderbrake, making it 2-0. First-year pitcher Walker McDuffie relieved Knapp and struck out 4 batters, sealing the shutout win for the Tar Heels.
Game 2 was just as quick as Game 1. After 3 innings, the score was 1-0 Miami. In the 4th inning, Carolina bats broke open and the momentum shifted. This error from Miami would have been the 3rd out, but instead, the Tar Heels had back-to-back-to-back hits and scored 4 runs. Miami would eventually get another run, but with outstanding pitching from Jason DeCaro and Ryan Lynch, the Tar Heels pulled out the win 4-2.
And in Game 3, looking for the sweep, Aiden Houck started on the mound for the Heels. Carolina took the lead early with a Hunter Stokely RBI. The game would be a back-and-forth defensive battle until the top of the 9th inning, when the game was tied 1-1. The Hurricanes loaded the bases, and the next batter took it to left field, scoring 3 runs. The Heels tried to make a comeback with an RBI from Vanderbrake, but were unable to pull out the sweep, losing 4-2.
Told the guys today we're 21-7 and we just haven't played that well. So take that for what you want to, but we're going to start playing better. We got a great group. I thought we pitched the heck out of it. And they got it done today. They played a little bit better than we did, so credit to them.
And from home to away, let's head up north to Syracuse for softball's 3-game series. In Game 1, Carolina built a 4-0 lead after Kat Rodriguez launched a 3-run homer to center in the 3rd inning. The Tar Heels kept the momentum going, with Rodriguez adding another RBI in the 5th, bringing her season total to 56. However, Syracuse surged back with 7 runs, ultimately handing UNC a 7-5 loss.
And in Game 2, UNC's Carly Myrtle hits a bouncer, bringing in a run at the top of the 1st. Syracuse tied it, but in the 2nd inning, hits from Barbie, Roberts, Rodriguez, and Thompson brought in 4 runs. In the top of the 6th, Syracuse had a swing to right field, tying the game. A hit by pitch from Syracuse brings another run in for the Heels in the top of the 7th. Then a grand slam from Sanaa Thompson to right field secures a UNC win 11-6.
In Game 3, the Heels got on the board to start the game, but fell to a 3-1 deficit until the 4th inning when Ryan Blackwell hit a blooper for an RBI, and Grace Jackson follows up later with a huge hit to left field, clearing the bases. Tar Heels led 5-3. The team carried that momentum into the next inning with a 3-run homer. Syracuse scored 5 runs in the 6th inning, forcing extra innings. The hero of the game was Shelby Barbie in the 10th inning, who hit a line drive to the outfield, scoring the game-winning run for the Heels. Carolina on top, 10-9. The UNC softball team is much improved this season with a 28-9 overall record. Sports Xtra reporter Riley Schock sat down with some players to find out what makes this team so successful.
Kat Rodriguez, Grace Jackson, and Shelby Barbie are just 3 of the 7 players that transferred in to play for the Tar Heels. With a new coaching staff, UNC softball team is looking a little bit different this season. I'm here at Anderson Softball Stadium to talk culture and success with some of the players.
With multiple girls coming to Carolina for their 5th year, the softball team had to put months of work in to build a fun and close-knit team dynamic.
Our motto this year is one team, one fight. The whole fall we kind of focused on the one team part. We did countless like team activities, team bonding stuff. So then come this spring, like where we are right now, like we're all super comfortable with each other. That we're able to compete towards our one fight, which is making regionals.
The players appreciate their new coaching staff for taking time and putting energy into the girls becoming closer with one another without the game of softball.
Yeah, I think like the coaches have built a culture of just like embracing each other and like wanting each person to be themselves.
The team isn't reliant on just the players putting up numbers and stopping other teams from clinching a win. The individuals off the field are another key to their success.
It just comes from within, like whether they're playing or not playing, that dugout is loud 24/7. And like we said before, everyone is each other's biggest fans. So anybody goes up to hit, like we are going all in for that one person. So.
With a lot of games left in the regular season, fans hope this family dynamic can allow this team to succeed in the ACC. I'm Riley Schulk reporting.
The team looks to continue securing big wins while maintaining those tight bonds. And while spring sports are heating up, we have some fall sports that want in on the action.
Absolutely, one of which is the reigning national champions. That's right, the UNC soccer team went to Charlottesville this past weekend to play UVA.
And the reigning ACC champions field hockey hosted Liberty at Karen Shelton Stadium.
But it was the UNC volleyball team who had a big day on Saturday. They had an early morning matchup against the Duke Blue Devils, and then the volleyball team took on VCU in a spring scrimmage. Now, the Rams came out hot in this scrimmage, challenging a Tar Heel defense that initially seemed a little unprepared. The Heels started out the second set with intensity. Sophie Hampton was supreme at the net, delivering powerful hits, and the Tar Heel defense really stepped up their game, denying the Rams with many blocks. Despite their strong looks, the Heels dropped this scrimmage to VCU, but they did win the no-stakes third set.
There's never a dull moment in Carolina athletics, with spring sports in full swing, fall sports preparing for their season, and even winter sports barely have time for a break as they build their teams for next season. Spencer, you've been covering the men's basketball team all year, and there's still more to talk about.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Ashley. Their season might be dead, but the transfer portal is alive and well, and I'll be back after the break to give you a glimpse into who's leaving, but also a couple of guys that Hubert Davis and Jim Tanner have their eyes on. Sports X will be right back after this.
My name is John. Today we will be doing a presentation. Over here. Thank you.
How good.
Okay, so you can see here that
Welcome back to Sports Extra.
Let's waste no time and hop right into the transfer portal. Now, we thought we'd seen the last of him last Monday, but our men's basketball analyst Spencer Haskell joins us one more time to break down what this Tar Heel roster could look like heading into next season. Spencer?
Thanks, Ashley. Yeah, turns out I've got one more in me. You can't get rid of me even if you wanted to. Now, obviously, the big news from last week since the last time we spoke is both Elliot Cadeau and Jalen Washington have elected to leave UNC and enter the transfer portal. Now, I don't think the loss of Jalen Washington is too big or too harmful. He just never panned out to be the player that Carolina fans expected him to be this year. But Cadeau transferring creates quite the issue for UNC, as now your entire starting backcourt is gone. You've got to replace RJ Davis, who's graduating, and now Cadeau is transferring. So what are they going to do? Well, this is where the transfer portal comes into play. And two guys that Carolina has their sights set on are Nick Boyd from San Diego State and Isaac McNeely from Virginia. Now we'll start with Nick Boyd. Nick Boyd would presumably be the guy to come in and take over that point guard role and replace Elliot Cadeau. He's got plenty of experience. This will be his 6th year of college basketball next year. He started his career at Florida Atlantic before he transferred to San Diego State, so he's got plenty of experience. He's played in the Final Four, and he visited Chapel Hill this weekend, so it would be a huge get if Carolina were able to land a commitment to him. And also, he just lost to Carolina in that first 4 game in Dayton, so hopefully, if you can't beat him, join him. But now moving into McNeely, this is a familiar face that Carolina fans have seen plenty of over the past couple seasons. He started 70 games across 3 seasons at Virginia. So yeah, like I just said, Carolina fans are very familiar with him. And he is an elite three-point shooter. One of the best in the ACC and also one of the best in the country, as he's shooting almost 42% for his career. And Carolina is going to need three-point shooters next season. This would be an awesome, awesome, awesome grab for Carolina, especially after the K. Tyson mishap last year in the portal. Now, obviously, the last thing to address, obviously, no decision yet from Ian Jackson or Drake Powell, but for the time being, I think it's safe to say, probably best to assume that they're not going to come back and they will not be in Chapel Hill next year. Ashley?
Spencer, what about Jalen Washington's replacement?
Yeah, so there hasn't been too much buzz about big men that Carolina has been talking to in the portal, but what we do know is that freshman center James Brown is coming back next season, so it should be fun to see how he improves and grows this offseason. And I'm also pretty confident that Van Allen Lubin will be back in Chapel Hill next year, which would be fantastic. He was great for Carolina down the stretch, but he's undersized. He's a little too small to be a center, so definitely Carolina needs to go out and secure a starting high-caliber center in the portal.
Should be interesting to see how things shake out. Thanks, Spencer.
The women's lacrosse team faced the Fighting Irish on their home turf in South Bend Sunday, concluding their 3-game road stretch. The Carolina defense didn't just come to play, they came to run this game. Sam Forrest stays with her man, checks, scoops the ball out, and passes it up to Sophie Student to stop Notre Dame's attack. And speaking of defense, Betty Nelson strikes again with another amazing game. With her quick reflexes and insane skill, only 3 goals made it past the pipes in the Carolina defense. And here the Humphrey sisters put it in the back of the net once again, like they always do, going sister to sister to sister, with Nicole draining it in the end. A weather delay caused a shortened game, but it didn't stop the Heels from taking home another crushing victory, defeating the Fighting Irish 14-3. Well, as you can see, the Tar Heels aren't the only ones on the move. I'm now here at the board with Sophia Gray to hear about our Heels.
The Tar Heels traveled to the Windy City for their 4th top 10 matchup of the season against Northwestern, then had to turn around and face Notre Dame just 3 days later. How did they make that happen?
Fantastic question. Well, Carolina shut down the Fighting Irish for the final 24 minutes of the game, ending with an 8-0 run. And that's the power of momentum, a force we've seen from the Tar Heels all season long.
Let's bring it back to last Thursday against the top 3 Wildcats. Northwestern scored 6 in a row between the first and second quarters. How did Carolina get the momentum back?
A simple answer, Olivia Vergano. Right here, right before the end of the first half, we're going to see Kate Levy find Vergano, who absolutely rips it into the back of the net for a buzzer beater goal. I mean, you can tell when she finishes, she drops her stick. She knows the power of momentum, and Vergano just earned it. The Heels went on for a 7-0 run, and we all know who won that game.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Caroline. Momentum matters. But lately, we've been seeing a pattern with the Tar Heels in the first quarter. Slow starts. We saw it against Virginia Tech last week, and just yesterday against Notre Dame. They were tied 2-2, 10 minutes into the game. But this play right here is what's going to change everything for the Tar Heels. We're going to see the ball right here at the back of the net. X. And she's going to pass quickly to Marissa White right there, who's going to put the ball in the back of the net. Now, Carolina went on a 2-1 run after this.
Yeah, I mean, that run was impressive, but, you know, they were able to recover against Notre Dame, but against #1 Boston College this Saturday, I don't know if they're going to be able to make that happen. But, you know, momentum doesn't just happen on offense. It also happens on defense. So can you talk to me about that, Sophia?
Yeah, I mean, it's all going to start with sophomore goalie Betty Nelson. I mean, she had an incredible game yesterday with 8 saves. And here we're going to see what she's made of. Doing a diving save off stick side, stuffing the Fighting Irish. I mean, offensive momentum is fun to watch, but defensive is just as important.
It absolutely is. And again, with that big matchup coming to Dorrance Field on Saturday, the Heels have a lot to be excited about. Thanks, Sophia.
On Saturday, the men's lacrosse team made their way up to West Point to take on the Black Knights in a non-conference game. The Heels are down one player due to a penalty. Army takes advantage, and Jackson Eisher slams a goal into the back of the net from out wide. Carolina doesn't let this stop them, though. Duffy gets the ball up high and looks to switch the field. Petramala gets the ball and finds himself one-on-one and uses his speed and strength to smoke his defender. Petramala scores while getting shoved into the crease, and despite Carolina's efforts, the Heels fell to the Black Knights 13-12 in a nail-biter. Women's rowing finished up their weekend races at the Sarasota 2K. In the grand finals, the 1v4 boat placed second, and the other Tar Heel boats placed third in the V8 and 2v8 races, leading to a team third-place finish in the Benderson Cup, beating last year's fourth-place finish.
And we will keep it in the water as men's swimming and diving concluded the season with a trip out west to the NCAA Championships. Day 3 included an epic Carolina record-setting swim in the 400 individual medley constellation by Louis Stram with a sub-4-minute dash. Ben Delmar's time in the 200 breaststroke would help the Heels, and the 400 freestyle relay team would break another school record, thanks to Dram, PJ Foy, Patrick Hussey, and Martin Cartave. The Heels finished tied for 23rd. And from racing through the water to racing on land, track and field took a short trip down the road as they competed in the Raleigh Relays. Nick Pennington's first college win was a dub in the men's pole vault, while Maddie Kelly took third in the women's pole vault. Blaze Atkinson was fourth in the men's 400-meter hurdles, and Kosi Umera was also placed fourth in the women's hammer throw. The 4x400-meter relays brought a second-place finish for the women and third for the men. If you're someone who can't get enough of the action on the playing field, we have some players and coaches who have some extra uploads on social media you can follow for behind-the-scenes looks at Carolina Athletics. Ashley?
Caroline, as social media and NIL opportunities increase, athletes and coaches have started to grow their personal brands online. So here are some you should follow on TikTok. First up, some of the women's basketball players created the account Blue Ballers, where they give us a behind-the-scenes look at their friendships, from bachelor nights to dance videos. And next up is the GOAT of collegiate field hockey, Erin Madsen. Madsen talks a lot about her journey to becoming the youngest coach in D1 athletics and shows her day-to-day running the field hockey team. She also does a lot of brand deals and fit checks. And lastly, we have UNC volleyball player Maddie May, who has just started to document her off-season training by showcasing the different drills she does and instructing younger players how to train like her. You should follow all of these accounts for a greater look at UNC athletics when the clock's not running. Caroline?
I guess I'll have to toss those accounts to follow. Thanks, Ashley. The UNC women's tennis team took on SMU at the Tuning Tennis Center on Friday. Reese Brantmeyer and Alanis Hamilton set the tone early in doubles, winning the game point of a very long rally. In singles, Brantmeyer kept up the momentum from her doubles match and won in 2 sets by utilizing her endurance to stay grounded in long rallies and allow her opponent to mess up first. Ultimately, though, it was Thea Radman who brought home the victory for the Heels 4-0 by using her opening serve to put the opponent out of place and control longer rallies.
We knew Duke was going to be really tough going in, so I think we were able to take a lot of positives from that. Originally a tough loss, but we were excited at the opportunity today.
The UNC men's tennis team hosted Conference Foe Miami on Friday at the Tuning Tennis Center. The Heels held a solid lead in the beginning, securing the doubles point. Nick Mangiapane gave UNC their first singles point before Miami turned up the heat. Transfer Vladislav Melnick was unable to win his match against his former Miami teammate, struggling with his returns and keeping the ball within bounds. The pressure fell on Diego Jari, whose strong serves and low defensive slicing secured his third set, rolling away the Hurricanes with Carolina blue skies. Heels win 4-3. In their Sunday matchup against Florida State, the Tar Heels fell 4-0, struggling to maintain momentum despite strong first-set performances from Melnick and Chris Shu in singles play.
Now let's hit it over to my favorite part of the week. That's right, it's time for Play of the Week.
Our first contender needs no introduction. It's Alyssa Utsby with a heads-up hustle play. After India Navarre's missed free throw, Utsby rushes to the ball and tips it in bounds to Lexi Donarski, who passes it to Renaya Kelly, who makes it rain. Take a look at that.
And our second contender hails from a top 2 team. UNC Lacrosse's Sam Forrest gets beat by her attacker, and I know what you're thinking. beat by her attacker and still a play of the week candidate, while Forrest stays scrappy and prevents the Irish's goal with a clean stick check, earning the ball back for the Heels.
Now, Caroline, I know I've got to ride with UNC's all-time leading rebounder, Alyssa Utsby. She's had an incredible career as a Tar Heel, and it's my last chance to vote for her for Play of the Week, but who do you have?
Honestly, I'm going to go on the other side of things. Utsby is certainly the GOAT, but I got to ride with Sam Forrest. I mean, to have your attacker beat you and think she's really going to beat you, and then you to come in and still win the ball back is just absolutely filthy. So the choice is mine. I'm going to go with the defensive stop.
Well, Caroline, good news. It's not just the two of us voting. You guys can decide. Head to our Instagram story to vote on who you think will be crowned this week's top play highlight on Friday. They put in the same time and effort as other athletes, but they don't get the credit. Alicia Adams goes behind the scenes with senior cheerleader Francesca Soto to highlight the underappreciated cheer squad.
When it comes to Carolina cheerleading, many fans overlook this uniform, rarely understanding the sport. I sat down with one athlete to get the real deal.
My name is Francesca Soto. I'm a senior here at Carolina, and I'm also a cheerleader. As a cheerleader, it is different being a student athlete here because we don't get tutoring, we don't have time blocks, we also don't have meal plans. We have to purchase those on our own.
As a senior, Soto tries to find balance.
It can be challenging sometimes balancing a full coursework load, which is pretty hard to balance all those things alongside if you have a job, and I also have a job. I work on campus.
Soto and her teammates spend their afternoons practicing their skills and preparing to cheer on their beloved Carolina Tar Heels. As a year-round sport for UNC football and basketball, these cheerleaders deserve the recognition as the student athletes they are. Their passion, energy, and spirit is undeniable.
Pride in your team, pride in your school, and pride in yourself.
Francesca Soto says Carolina cheerleaders have time demands just like any other athlete on UNC's campus. So the next time you're at a UNC sporting event, be sure to give a Carolina cheerleader a rah rah Carolina. I'm Alicia Adams reporting.
The cheerleaders might have some more time on their hands now that both basketball teams are out of the big dance.
Well, both basketball teams might be out, but Ashley, I heard you have a big dance coming up on Wednesday.
That's right. I have Greek Groove on Wednesday, where each sorority will compete to support charities, and the theme this year is sports.
Well, Ashley, given the theme of sports, I think you'll be extra good at that one. And don't worry, I'll be there cheering you on. That does it for this edition of Sports Extra.
We'll be back on Friday with a preview of another exciting weekend in Carolina athletics.